You're not supposed to be here this late. The market is officially closed, metal shutters pulled down, neon signs dart, the air stripped of its daytime noise. Still, you're standing in the center aisle, mop bucket beside you, emergency lights flickering like a failing heartbeat overhead. The power outage came without warning. 1 second the fluorescents were humming, the next, darkness. Now everything is bathed in a sickly red glow, long shadows stretching between abandoned produce stalls and silent butcher counters. The smell of old vegetables, bleach, and rust clings to the back of your throat. You tighten your grip on the mop handle. It's slick with sweat. Then you hear it. Not footsteps, not rats. A low, steady sound. Breathing. You turn toward the far end of the market where the floor slopes slightly downward, where the concrete changes color, where a rusted metal grate has always sat flush with the ground, half hidden beneath years of grime, and where the dog is sitting. He's there every night. You don't know how long he's been coming. Longer than you've worked here. That much you're sure of. A street dog with uneven ears and a coat the color of wet pavement. Scar above one eye. Tail that never quite relaxes. He doesn't beg. He doesn't bark. He just lies there, guarding the grate. Tonight, he isn't lying down. He's standing. The dog's body is tense, muscles locked, head angled toward the floor as if he's listening to something you can't hear. His breath fogs the air in short bursts. The emergency light above him flickers. Red, dark, red again, and then the grate shifts. Not much, just enough to make a sound. Metal scraping against concrete. Your stomach tightens. The market is old, older than the permits say. Built-in layers, renovated, patched, forgotten, repurposed. You've always known there were spaces below. Basements, storage rooms sealed off decades ago. But they're supposed to be locked, empty, full of nothing but trash and regret. The dog lets out a soft whine. You whisper without thinking, "Hey, it's okay." Your voice sounds wrong in the dark, too loud, too fragile. The dog turns his head and looks at you, really looks at you. His eyes catch the emergency light, reflecting something that isn't fear. It's expectation, as if he's been waiting for you. Your phone vibrates in your pocket, no signal, no service, just the useless comfort of wait. You pull it out anyway and turn on the flashlight. The beam cuts through dust-heavy air and lands on the grate. The metal is old, warped, the bolts eaten away by rust, and now, for the first time you can remember, one corner isn't flush with the floor. There's a gap. Just wide enough for fingers. Just wide enough for a dog's nose. The dog steps forward and presses his snout against the opening. Sniffs, pulls back, looks at you again. Your heart starts to pound, not fast, heavy. Each beat lands with intention, like it's trying to warn you without words. You should call someone. Security, maintenance, anyone who isn't you. But the market is closed. Your phone is useless. And beneath the hum of the emergency generator, something else reaches your ears. A sound that doesn't belong to the market. A low, distant echo. Not mechanical, not animal. It's rhythmic. You crouch beside the grate. The concrete is cold through your pants. You set the mop aside and wedge your fingers into the gap. The metal bites into your skin as you pull. The grate shifts with a groan, protesting the movement like it hasn't been touched in years. Dust pours out, thick and dry, coating your tongue with the taste of old stone. You cough, blink. The flashlight beam drops through the opening and keeps going. There's a stairwell below, concrete steps descending into darkness, yellow hazard paint along the edges, faded but still visible. The walls are lined with peeling soundproofing foam, gray, pitted, unmistakable. Your chest locks mid-inhale. Soundproofing doesn't belong under a market. The dog moves closer, shoulder brushing your knee. His body radiates warmth, familiar, grounding. He peers down into the hole, ears pricked. You've been guarding this, you murmur. The realization settles slowly like dust. Haven't you? The dog doesn't look at you this time. He steps onto the first stair. Your mouth goes dry. He pauses, turns his head just enough to make sure you're watching. Then he continues downward. The red emergency light above flickers again, once, twice, and goes dark. The only light left is your phone. You hesitate for half a second longer than you should. Then you follow. Each step down changes the air. Cooler, cleaner. The smell of rot and bleach fades, replaced by something metallic and faintly sweet. The walls swallow sound. Your footsteps dull, muffled, like you're walking through a memory instead of a place. The stairwell opens into a room. Your flashlight sweeps across the space, and your breath leaves you in a slow, involuntary release. It's not storage. It's a studio, a real one. Soundproofed walls. Acoustic panels arranged with care. A mixing desk sits at the center, coated in dust but intact. Cables neatly coiled, music stands upright, waiting. And against the far wall, a microphone, vintage, chrome dulled with age, but unmistakable in shape. A heavy blanket has been draped over it, shielding it from time. The dog pads across the room and noses the blanket aside. The microphone gleams under your flashlight. Your hands forget their steadiness. Pinned to the stand is a yellowed piece of tape, handwritten. You step closer, squint. The name hits you like a held note finally released. Your mother's name, not printed, not official, just written, careful, familiar. Your throat refuses to cooperate. Words pile up and go nowhere. The dog curls at your feet, settling in like he's come home. Somewhere in the darkness, a machine clicks. You turn. Against the back wall sits a reel-to-reel recorder. Old, beautiful, silent for decades, except the power light is on, a soft glow. Waiting. You reach out. Your finger hovers over the switch. And before you touch it, you understand something you're not ready to name yet. This place wasn't forgotten. It was protected. The switch resists at first. Your thumb presses down, hesitant, and the plastic gives a faint crackle like it's waking up after a long sleep. The reel-to-reel responds with a soft whir, slow, careful. 2 empty spools begin to turn, their motion steady, deliberate. Then the tape engages. A hiss fills the room. Not loud, not harsh. A gentle layer of static, warm and analog, spreading across the soundproof walls like fog. It crawls into your ears, into the quiet spaces you didn't realize were empty. You don't move. The dog doesn't move either. His chin rests on his paws, eyes half-lidded, completely at ease. As if this is how the room is supposed to sound. Your fingers hover above the controls. The labels are handwritten. Familiar loops and slants in the letters. Someone took care here. A red light flickers on. REC. Then a breath. Not yours. A woman exhales into the microphone. Close. Intimate. You can hear the shape of her mouth, the way her lips part before sound happens. Your knees threaten to give. Because you know that breath. You've heard it in old voicemail messages, in cassette tapes warped by heat and time, in the fragile space just before sleep when memory loosens its grip and lets the past bleed through. The voice follows. Clear. Unbelievably clear. She sings your name first, not as a lyric, just softly, like she's testing the room, like she's smiling when she says it. Your vision blurs, not all at once, but in pulses. The studio walls seem to tilt, the edges bending inward. You reach out and steady yourself on the mixing desk, fingertips brushing dust, knobs, sliders that haven't been touched in decades. The song begins. It's unfinished. You can tell immediately. No full arrangement, just her voice and a simple piano line, distant but steady. The melody is raw, searching, not polished, not meant for anyone but the moment it was born in. Your chest tightens, not sharply, but with weight, like something heavy has been placed there without warning. You lower yourself onto the floor. The concrete is cold, but you barely register it. Every part of you leans toward the sound, toward her, toward a version of the world where she was still recording, still dreaming, still leaving pieces of herself behind in places you never knew existed. The dog shifts closer until his back presses against your leg. You don't remember reaching out, but your hand finds his fur anyway. It's coarse in places, soft in others, real, anchoring. The tape ends with a click. Silence floods back in, thick and sudden. Your ears ring, not painfully, but with absence. Like the room has been emptied of oxygen, you swallow. The motion feels exaggerated, mechanical. That's not possible, you whisper. Your voice sounds small, unconvincing. Your mother died when you were 17, long before streaming, long before viral revivals and remastered demos. She sang at home, at open mics, at birthdays and late nights when the walls were thin and the neighbors didn't complain. She never recorded an album, at least that's what you were told. You rewind the tape with shaking fingers. The reels spin backward, the soft whine pulling sound back into itself. Play! Her voice returns instantly, unfaded, untouched by time. You squeeze your eyes shut. Memories don't sound like this. Grief doesn't sound like this. This is presence. Your breath becomes something you have to manage consciously. Like if you stop paying attention, it might not come back on its own. The studio holds more than the microphone. You notice it now, details emerging as shock loosens its grip, a shelf of labeled tapes, dates spanning years, names written in different inks. Some smudged, some careful, some barely legible. Street names, nicknames, single initials, street musicians. You stand and move slowly, like sudden motion might shatter the space. The dog rises with you, matching your pace. One tape label catches your eye. Session 47, unreleased. You slide it from the shelf. The plastic case is heavier than it should be. Inside, the tape is pristine, cared for, loved. A folded piece of paper slips out and flutters to the floor. You pick it up. It's a note. Short, direct. If you're hearing this, it means the city finally forgot me too. Use it if you know how. Protect it if you don't. No signature. No explanation. You laugh softly, the sound breaking before it fully forms. Of course, you murmur. Anonymous. You've spent years cleaning floors while humming melodies under your breath. Years downloading free music software onto a laptop that barely runs. Years finishing shifts at dawn and walking home with rhythms still stuck in your head. Nowhere to put them. You know how. The realization lands without fireworks. No dramatic swell. Just a quiet alignment, like something clicking into place after years of being slightly off. But knowing how isn't the same as being allowed. You look at the dog. He's watching you closely now, head tilted, ears relaxed but alert, waiting for a decision. You brought me here, you say. Your voice steadies as you speak. Didn't you? The dog's tail taps the floor once. You glance back at the stairwell, at the darkness leading up to the market, to your mop bucket, your time card, your life exactly as it was 12 hours ago. You could walk away, pretend the power outage never happened, tell yourself it's not your place, leave the tapes to rot quietly in the dark, protected by a dog who doesn't age like people do. Instead, you pull out your phone, no signal, still useless for calls. But the recording app opens just fine. You hold it up to the speakers and press record. The screen timer starts counting. Your mother's voice fills the tiny microphone, spilling into the digital present. You don't know it yet, but this exact moment is the first step, the smallest one, the kind no one sees. Above you, the market remains silent. Below, something long buried begins to move again. You don't sleep when you get home. You sit on the edge of your bed while the city outside your window exhales into early morning. Sirens drift past. A delivery truck groans to a stop. Somewhere, someone laughs too loudly, the sound breaking against brick and glass. Your laptop hums in your lap, fan whining like it's already tired of the work you're asking it to do. The recording you made plays through cheap headphones. Your mother's voice fills your skull. Not perfectly. There's compression, background hiss, the faint echo of a room built to hold sound gently, not trap it. But even stripped down, even filtered through aging software and fraying wires, the core of it is untouched. It still knows how to reach you. You close your eyes. Your fingers move without instruction, cutting silence, adjusting levels, isolating her vocal line the way you've practiced 100 times on songs that never mattered this much. Each click feels wrong and right at the same time, like you're handling something sacred without permission. When the sun finally pushes light through the blinds, you stop. Your eyes burn. Your shoulders ache. You save the file under a name that makes your hands pause. Session 47, Mother! Raw! You sit there for a long moment staring at it. Then you shut the laptop. At the market that night, the dog is already there. Same place, same grate. He lifts his head when he sees you, tail giving a single, restrained wag. Like he doesn't want to make a big deal out of it. Like this is simply the continuation of something that started long before yesterday. You kneel and set down a paper bag. Inside, leftover chicken. Warm, unseasoned. He sniffs, accepts, eats neatly. Thank you, you say, unsure who you're really talking to. The power is back on. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, harsh and unforgiving. The grate looks ordinary again. Flat, closed, innocent. But you know better now. Your shift drags. Every swipe of the mop feels louder than it should. Every sound echoes differently, as if the building itself remembers what's beneath it. When closing time comes, you don't hesitate. You return to the grate. This time, the dog doesn't wait for you to pull it open. He steps back, sits, watches. The descent feels different tonight. Less fear, more gravity, like you're walking into a responsibility instead of a mystery. The studio greets you in silence. You flick on the lights. Dim bulbs flicker awake, casting soft shadows across equipment frozen in time. Dust hangs in the air, disturbed only by your presence. You set your backpack down and unpack carefully. Laptop, interface, headphones. The dog circles once and lies down near the door, positioning himself so he can see both you and the stairs. Guarding again. You load another tape. A man this time. Rough voice. Laughs between takes. Misses notes and keeps going anyway. You hear a producer's voice faintly in the background, calm, encouraging, never intruding. Anonymous. You understand the room now. This place wasn't about perfection. It was about being heard. Night after night you return. You learn the rhythm of the dog's patience. How he waits until you finish before rising, how he flinches at certain sounds but relaxes when the tape rolls, how he never crosses the threshold of the recording booth, as if he knows exactly where his role ends. You start bringing food every time. People start noticing you less. You move through the market like a shadow, unnoticed, unremarkable. Just another underpaid janitor with headphones around his neck and tired eyes. But below, something builds. You digitize tapes methodically, clean them, preserve them. Each voice becomes a presence in the room, a community long gone, stitched together by sound. Your mother's demos sit untouched for now. You're not ready. One night, near the end of your shift, your phone vibrates. Signal. A message notification blinks on screen. From an old friend, a guitarist who once told you to do something with your music. Still messing around with sound? Your thumb hovers. You think of the note, use it if you know how. You send one file, just one, no context, no explanation. You wait. Minutes pass. The dog shifts, sensing the change in your breathing. Then, your phone buzzes again. Where did you get this? This doesn't sound like now. This is unreal. Your pulse stumbles. You don't answer. You don't need to, because the room around you hums softly, like it's listening too. The comments appear before you expect them to. You upload the clip late 2003 AM from your phone, thumb hovering over the screen like you might still pull it back. No name attached, no story. Just a black square for an image and a caption you delete 3 times before settling on 5 words. Found this beneath the city. You post it to a small music forum, the kind that doesn't chase trends, the kind where people argue about microphones from the 70s and share links no one else clicks. You put the phone face down. You don't watch the numbers. Down in the studio, the dog lifts his head when the faint vibration hits the floor through your leg. He doesn't bark, just watches you with that same patient focus. You load another tape to distract yourself, a woman rapping over a beat made from a broken drum machine. Her cadence stumbles, recovers, sharpens. Someone claps softly in the background. You smile despite yourself. Your phone buzzes again. And again. You flip it over. The black square is gone, replaced by waveforms, comments stacking faster than you can read them. That voice is unreal. This sounds like it was recorded yesterday. Who is she? Where did you get this tape? Your pulse starts to misbehave. You tell yourself it's nothing, just a niche crowd, just a few people who care too much about sound. Then a message pops up from someone you don't recognize. My dad used to play in the market when I was a kid. This sounds like the room he described. Your mouth goes dry. You scroll. More messages, more questions. Someone posts a photo, old, grainy, barely focused. A group of musicians clustered around a microphone. The wall behind them looks familiar. Too familiar. You glance up. The acoustic panels in the studio match the photo exactly. Same pattern, same tear in the foam near the corner. Your chest tightens with pressure, not pain, like the room itself is pressing back. They remember you, you whisper. The dog exhales long and slow as if agreeing. The next night, someone waits for you at the top of the stairs. You freeze when you see the silhouette. Tall, unmoving, framed by the market's fluorescent glare. Your first instinct is to retreat, to pull the grate closed, to vanish back into your life before curiosity turns into consequences. But then the figure steps forward. It's an older man, 60s, maybe 70s, baseball cap pulled low, hands shoved deep into his jacket pockets. His eyes flick past you toward the grate, then back again. You the janitor? He asks. His voice is rough but careful, like he's choosing every word. You nod. I heard something online, he says. Sounded familiar. The dog steps between you and the man. Not aggressive, just present. The man notices, smiles faintly. Still guarding, huh? Your stomach drops. You know this place, you say. He looks past you again, toward the floor. I recorded here, he replies. Once, maybe twice. A pause. Didn't think anyone remembered. You hesitate, then crouch and lift the grate. The man's breath leaves him in a quiet rush. Down below, the studio waits. He descends slowly, hand trailing along the wall like he's afraid the space might disappear if he doesn't keep touching it. When he reaches the bottom, he stops in the center of the room and closes his eyes. She sounded like that, he says softly. Exactly like that. You don't ask who. He opens his eyes and looks at you. Really looks. You're not just finding tapes, he says. You're reopening something. You think of your mother's voice, of the note, of the dog who never left. I don't know what I'm doing, you admit. The man smiles. Not kindly, not cruelly, honestly. Neither did he says. That's why it worked. Before he leaves, he presses something into your hand. A cassette, unlabeled. She told me to keep it safe, he says. Guess I didn't do a great job. When you play it later, alone, you hear your mother laughing before the song starts. Unfiltered, alive. The revelation settles slowly, deeply. This wasn't just a studio. It was a promise. You stop posting anonymously the night someone recognizes her. It happens quietly. No headline, no viral explosion yet. Just a message buried between waveform screenshots and microphone debates. I know that voice. You read it 3 times before the words settle into meaning. Your phone is balanced on your knee, screen glowing softly in the studio's low light. The dog lifts his head, sensing the shift in your breathing before you do. The message continues. She used to sing at the East Side Community Center. Late 90s. I was a kid. My mom took me. Your fingers hover uselessly above the screen. Because if one person remembers, others will too. You lean back against the wall. The concrete is cool through your shirt. Somewhere above, the market's refrigeration units kick on with a dull thump, the sound traveling down through layers of forgotten architecture. I didn't plan this, you murmur. The dog's tail taps once, slow, Steady. You start setting rules for yourself. No full songs yet. No names. No addresses. You post fragments instead. Isolated vocal runs, clipped harmonies, moments of laughter caught between takes. Enough to intrigue, not enough to expose. It doesn't matter. People start stitching stories together on their own. A former busker claims the room saved his life. A retired sound tech swears the producer was legendary but refused credit. Someone uploads an old flyer. Underground sessions. Invitation only. The comments fill with reverence instead of greed. That scares you more than hype ever could. The studio changes as attention grows. Not physically, everything remains exactly where it was, but the air feels denser, charged. Like every sound now carries consequence. The dog grows restless. One night, halfway through digitizing a tape, he stands abruptly, walks to the stairs, stops. He doesn't climb, he waits. You pause the recording, pull off your headphones. What is it, you ask? The silence answers first. Then, footsteps, muted, careful. Someone above is trying not to be heard. You rise slowly. Your heart doesn't race, it weighs. At the top of the stairs, you see light spill through the edges of the grate. Shadows move across it. Two voices, low and urgent. Told you there was something down here. We can't just take it apart. You crouch, peering through the gap. Two men, not musicians, not curious old-timers chasing memory. These men wear jackets with logos you recognize. Property management, redevelopment, clipboard energy, your jaw tightens. The dog positions himself directly in front of the stairs now, body angled, stance firm, not snarling, just immovable, protecting. You climb the last step anyway and push the grate up. Both men jump. Hey, one starts. You can't be here after hours, the other adds quickly, eyes darting past you. You straighten. Wipe your hands on your jeans. I work here, you say. Night shift. They exchange a look. We've had reports, the first says. Unauthorized use of the building. Sound. People. This area is slated for inspection, the second adds. Possible demolition. The word lands wrong. Too heavy. Too final. Nothing's happening here, you reply. Behind you, the dog steps forward. The men notice him fully for the first time. One of them hesitates. Dog shouldn't be down there either, he mutters. He's been here longer than you say before thinking. Silence stretches. Eventually, they retreat. Not convinced, but not ready either, promising follow-ups. Paperwork, official notices. When the grate closes again, the studio feels smaller. Your hands betray steadiness as you descend. Demolition. You sit on the floor, back against the mixing desk, staring at nothing. The word echoes, bouncing between walls designed to keep sound contained. If they seal this place, if they strip it for parts, everything ends. The dog presses his head against your chest, unexpected weight grounding you. His breathing is even. Solid. You knew this would happen, you whisper, not accusing, realizing he doesn't move. Later that night, you do something you've been avoiding. You load your mother's unfinished demo, the one labeled "For Later." You listen all the way through this time. No edits, no interruptions. When it ends, you don't cry. You open your laptop instead. You start building something. Not a post, a project. You start telling people the truth, not all of it, not names or locations, but enough to shift the narrative from found audio to unfinished work. You frame it carefully, a lost underground studio, a collection of unheard voices. One final album that was never completed. You don't mention demolition, you don't mention deadlines, but urgency leaks into everything you do anyway. The nights grow longer. You stop cleaning entire sections of the market, focusing only on what keeps your job technically intact. Your supervisor doesn't notice at first. Nobody ever does, not when you move quietly enough. Below ground, the studio becomes a living thing. Cables sprawl where they never did before. Sticky notes bloom across the mixing desk. You label tracks with dates, moods, half-memories. Your laptop crashes twice in 1 week. The second time, you stare at the dark screen for a full minute, unmoving, breath shallow, as if the machine might resurrect itself out of fear of disappointing you. The dog whines softly. You! Restart! Lose nothing! Barely! You begin layering your mother's voice with modern instrumentation, light touches only. Piano that doesn't intrude, percussion that knows when to disappear. You treat her recordings like fragile glass, holding them up to the light, never forcing them to bend. Still, doubt creeps in. Who are you to finish this? Who gave you permission to touch her work? Some nights, you sit frozen in the booth, headphones around your neck, unable to press play. Those are the nights the dog refuses to lie down. He paces the perimeter of the room. Pauses by the microphone, returns to you again and again, as if reminding you where you are, as if reminding you why. The warning arrives on a Tuesday, an official notice taped near the market entrance. You see it when you arrive for your shift, the paper flapping slightly in the draft from a passing bus. Structural assessment scheduled, access to lower levels restricted, your chest locks. You read it twice, 3 times. Below, the studio waits, unaware. That night, the dog doesn't eat. He noses the food once and turns away, positioning himself squarely in front of the grate. His ears stay upright the entire time you work, tracking every distant sound. "You feel it too," you whisper. "You work through the night anyway. You finish the mix at dawn. Not perfect, nothing like that, but complete in the way living things are complete. Breathing, flawed, honest. You upload a single track. This time, you use her name. The response is immediate. The song spreads faster than anything you've posted before. Shares multiply. Comments turn reverent. People tag radio hosts, bloggers, archivists. Someone calls it a voice the city forgot how to hear. You don't celebrate. Because at noon, you get the email, redevelopment approved. Lower structures to be sealed within the week. Your hands go cold. You sit on the studio floor long after the message fades from the screen, staring at the walls, the equipment, the history pressed into every surface. The dog rests his head on your knee. For the first time since you met him, he trembles. Not much, just enough. You wrap your arms around him, bury your face in his fur, breathing in dust and warmth and something like belonging. "I'm sorry," you say. "I don't know how to save this." The words sink into the soundproofing. Stay there. When you finally look up, you notice something you've missed all along. A second door, half hidden behind a stack of unused panels, older than the rest, locked but not sealed. The dog lifts his head, stares at it. The second door doesn't look important. That's the first thing you notice. No signage, no warnings, just old wood painted the same institutional gray as the rest of the basement, its surface scarred by time rather than damage. A narrow strip of metal runs along the edge, dull with oxidation. The lock is simple, almost an afterthought. You would have walked past it 100 times if the panels hadn't shifted. If the dog hadn't stopped, he stands directly in front of it now, body still, tail low but not tucked. His ears angle forward, catching sounds you can't hear. His attention is absolute. You step closer, the air changes, not colder, not warmer, just quieter, as if the room behind the door has been holding its breath longer than the studio ever did. You try the handle. It doesn't turn. You press your ear against the wood. The surface smells faintly of oil and dust. You hear nothing, not even the hum of the city above. The dog sits, waits. You glance back at the studio, the mixing desk crowded with notes, your laptop glowing softly, your mother's voice paused mid-waveform on the screen. Time is no longer on your side. You rummage through a drawer beneath the desk, old tools left behind by someone who believed in being prepared. A flathead screwdriver, bent but sturdy. You wedge it into the lock and twist. The sound is sharp, too loud in a place designed to swallow noise. The lock gives with a tired snap. The door opens inward. The room beyond is smaller than the studio, narrow, long. The walls are lined floor to ceiling with shelves, boxes, dozens of them, each labeled in the same handwriting you've come to recognize. Same careful loops, same restraint, names, dates, locations. This isn't a studio, it's an archive. There's his bird. You step inside slowly. The floor creaks under your weight. Real wood this time, not concrete. The smell is different too. Paper, magnetic tape, something preserved intentionally. The dog follows, then stops just inside the doorway. He does not enter fully. You run your fingers along a box and pull it free. Inside, photographs, flyers, handwritten lyric sheets, old IDs, burned CDs labeled with nothing but initials. Lives, whole lives pressed flat and saved. You sink onto a low stool tucked beneath the shelves. Your legs feel unreliable, like they've carried you far enough for one lifetime already. In the far corner of the room sits a single metal cabinet, locked. This lock is newer. Your pulse slows as you approach it, each step deliberate. You open it without forcing, no resistance this time. Inside is one box, larger than the rest. On top lies a sealed envelope. Your name is written across it, not printed, not guessed, written. Your fingers forget what they're supposed to do. The envelope trembles lightly between them as you break the seal. Inside is a letter. If you're reading this, it means you found the second room, which means you listened. Your throat tightens, words blurring for a moment before they settle back into focus. "I always wondered if you would. You swallow. I couldn't finish it without you." The letter is dated 3 months before your mother died. Your chest feels hollowed out carefully, like someone made space for the truth to land. She writes about the studio, about the producer who refused credit because he believed the work belonged to the streets, not himself. About the dog, yes, the dog who started showing up halfway through the sessions and never left. "He listens better than people," she wrote. "That's why I trust him." Your vision fractures. At the bottom of the box, beneath the letter, sits a hard drive, newer than everything else. A strip of tape runs across it, handwritten again. "For you! Finish it!" You sink to the floor, back against the shelves, letter pressed to your chest. The room presses close, heavy with the weight of what's been waiting. The dog lies down in the doorway, finally relaxing, his body forming a quiet barrier between you and the outside world. You understand now. This wasn't just about saving music. This was about inheritance. You carry the hard drive back into the studio like it's a living thing, not heavy, not large, just dense with intention. The kind of object that changes the air around it. The dog stays close as you move, nails clicking softly on the concrete. Every few steps he looks up at you, checking your face, reading whatever he's learned to read in humans who are trying not to break. You set the drive on the mixing desk. Your laptop's fan whirs, already protesting what you're about to ask of it. You plug the drive in. Nothing happens. For a second, panic flashes hot and sharp. An image of corrupted files, lost work, sealed doors, your mother's voice dissolving into static. Then the drive light blinks. Once, twice, a folder opens automatically. No password, no maze, just one directory, labeled in the same handwriting, scanned into a simple text file placed at the top like a sign. Album, basement, sunlight, your stomach turns over slowly. You click, the screen fills with files, stems, session projects, raw takes, alternate harmonies, spoken intros, notes in plain text, track lists rearranged again and again like someone couldn't decide what order the truth should be told in. And there she is, everywhere. Your mother's voice in fragments and full arcs, laughing, correcting herself, tapping a rhythm against the mic stand, talking softly to someone off camera, off mic like the room is a friend. You put on headphones. You open the first project file. A timeline loads. Waveforms appear like blue rivers across your screen. Your hands hover above the keyboard, hesitant, because this is the part where you become more than a listener. This is where you touch it. The dog pads into the recording booth and sits just outside the threshold, refusing to cross, watching you through the glass like a guardian at a line. No one should cross by accident. You start with the simplest thing. Cleaning. You remove hum, trim empty space, tighten the edges of breaths without stealing their humanity. You align the piano track so it stops drifting, like it's finally decided to stand still and be present. Hours pass, then days. The market continues to function above you like nothing is happening. Vendors argue over prices. Customers complain. Security guards drink coffee and yawn and never look at the grate long enough to notice the dog's unwavering presence. But the redevelopment countdown does not slow. 3 days before the seal date, the property men come back. This time, they bring a city inspector, a woman in a hard hat with a flashlight that looks more official than yours ever did. She walks the market with the patience of someone who has seen every hidden rot a building can hide. You keep your head down, mop in hand, heart trying to behave. The dog is nowhere in sight. That scares you more than the inspector. You finish your shift on autopilot, ears tuned to every distant footstep. When the last vendor leaves and the shutters rattle down, you move quickly to the grate. You lift it. The stairwell yawns open. You call softly, "Hey, you here?" Silence answers. You descend. The studio lights flicker on. Empty. No dog. You rush to the second room. The archive is still intact. Boxes undisturbed. Letter safe. Cabinet closed. Relief hits you so hard it makes you dizzy. Then you notice the blanket near the microphone has been moved. Not much, but enough. And on the mixing desk, right beside your laptop, sits a tape you didn't leave there. A reel, pristine, newly placed. A strip of masking tape across it with 2 words written carefully. Final. Take your skin prickles. You don't reach for it immediately. You stare at it like it might vanish if you move too fast. Then, faintly, from the stairwell, a soft scrape. A paw against concrete. The dog appears at the doorway. His muzzle is dusted white. Cobweb clings to one ear. He looks tired in a way you've never seen before, but his eyes are bright with the fierce satisfaction of someone who has completed a task. He steps into the studio and walks directly to you. He sits, and then he does something he's never done. He nudges the reel with his nose, offering it. You swallow, hands slow, careful as you lift the tape and place it onto the reel-to-reel machine. The motion feels ceremonial, like lighting a candle in a room that hasn't been prayed in for years. The machine clicks, the reels begin to turn, static swells, then silence, a heartbeat of nothing, and then your mother's voice enters the room like a door opening onto sunlight. Not a song this time, a spoken message, direct, close, so close you can hear the small smile she's trying to hide. If you're hearing this, you finally made it down here, she says. Your hands clamp onto the edge of the desk, hard. she continues, gentle and steady. I wanted to leave you something better than goodbye, so I recorded what I couldn't say when you were looking at me with those stubborn eyes, pretending you weren't scared. Your throat tightens, but you do not look away from the spinning reels. You cannot. I know you clean floors for money, she says softly, and you make music in your head because it's the only place people can't take it from you. Your breath becomes shallow. I also know you think you don't deserve to be heard, she adds, the smile audible now. That's the part I'm trying to fix. The dog lowers himself at your feet, curling into a tight circle, as if this message is a fire he's been keeping alive with his body for years. Your mother's voice warms. This studio was never mine. It was never his. It belonged to anyone brave enough to step into a room and offer the truth of their voice. A pause. You can hear her inhale. So here's mine, she whispers. And here's yours too, because I recorded you. Your head jerks. You rewind instinctively. Play again, because I recorded you. Your hands start to shake as you scan the files on the hard drive again, suddenly seeing what you missed. A folder you didn't click before. You! AGE9. Your vision blurs. You open it. Inside are recordings. Tiny, imperfect, unbelievably alive. You as a child singing into the same microphone, laughing when you mess up. Your mother coaxing you gently, telling you to try again, telling you the room doesn't judge. Your knees fold. You sink to the floor as the studio fills with the sound of your own forgotten voice. The room doesn't feel underground anymore. It feels like it's floating. And for the first time, you understand what the dog has been guarding. Not a basement, a life. You don't go back upstairs right away. You sit on the studio floor with the headphones half off one ear, listening to two timelines at once. Your mother's message on loop in your head, and your 9-year-old voice spilling out of the speakers like it's been trapped in amber. The dog's warmth presses against your shin. Steady, present, your hands find the letter again, unfolding it carefully, as if the paper might bruise. Finish it. The word doesn't feel like a request anymore. It feels like a hand on your shoulder. You stand. The stool squeaks when you shove it aside. The sound is absurdly loud in a room built for quiet, like the studio is reminding you every movement matters now. You open your laptop. You begin the final assembly. Not just your mother's track, but the album, Basement Sunlight, built from the street. Voices, the lost sessions, the laughter between takes. You weave it like a map, where the city was, where it hid its art, where it tried to forget. You pull your own childhood recordings into a hidden track at the end, an unlisted outrow. That isn't really for the public. It's for the kid in the booth who thought singing was allowed. Above ground, the clock continues. 2 days before the seal date, the inspector returns with the property men. This time, they walk straight for the grate. You see them from behind a stall, mop in hand, heart doing something slow and heavy. You step out, forcing your body to look casual. Can I help you? You ask, voice even. The inspector glances at you. We need access to the lower structure. It's storage, you say, as if saying it makes it true. One of the property men smiles thinly. We've been told there's activity. Before you can answer, a bark cuts the air. Not loud, not frantic, a warning, clean and sharp. The dog appears from the far aisle, moving fast, faster than you've ever seen him. He stops beside you, posture rigid, eyes fixed on the inspector's boots. The inspector hesitates. He yours? She asks. You don't say yes. You don't say no. He keeps the rats away, you reply. The dog steps forward again, tail low, stance planted. He doesn't snap. He doesn't show teeth. He simply refuses to be ignored. Something in the inspector's face changes. Micro-expression, brief as a flicker. Recognition, not of the dog, but of the kind of loyalty that doesn't come from training. She exhales. We'll come back with proper clearance, she says, and turns away. The property men look irritated but follow. Your knees loosen only after they're gone. You crouch and press your forehead briefly against the dog's head. A silent thank you. That night, you stop hiding. You take the risk that makes your stomach feel like it's falling through open space. You post the full track. Your mother's song finished but respectful, her voice untouched where it matters, supported where it needs light. You title it with the words that keep echoing in your mind. Basement, sunlight, feet, my mom. You add one photo, a close-up of the vintage microphone under dim emergency lighting, the dog curled at the base of the stand like a shadow that chose to become a guardian. Then you write the story. Not every detail, but enough. I'm a night janitor. I found an underground studio beneath a closing market. It preserved street musicians. It preserved my mother. They're sealing it soon. You hit post, and you watch the city listen back. At first, it's what you expect. Comments, shares, disbelief. Then it becomes something else. A local radio host plays the track on air and calls it a time capsule with a pulse. A producer reacts on stream, pausing mid-sentence because the vocals are too clean to be old. A journalist messages you, asking for an interview. A preservation group replies with one sentence, "Where is it? We can help!" Within hours, the dog becomes a symbol. People clip him into memes and edits. The basement guardian. Artists draw him with a halo of sound waves. Someone makes a sticker pack with his uneven ears. They don't know him, but they feel him. And for the first time, you understand what viral actually means, not popularity, but momentum. A spreading, an unstoppable passing from one person's chest to another's. The next morning, you arrive at the market and find someone has taped a printed screenshot of your post to a pillar. More papers appear as the day goes on. Customers stop and read them. Vendors whisper. A teenager plays the song from their phone near the fish counter, and your mother's voice rises above the smell of salt and ice. You stand there with a mop in your hands, staring at the sound moving through the space like it's reclaiming ownership. The dog sits beside you. A woman approaches, holding out a small object handmade, a bandana, printed with a little microphone icon and the words, "L-E-T. The city, hear it. She doesn't ask your name." She crouches and ties it gently around the dog's neck. He doesn't resist. He looks up at you as if to say, "Now." Your phone buzzes. A new email. Subject line, emergency, hearing, market basement, structure. Your stomach drops. A hearing means they can still seal it, or they can stop it. And you realize the real fight isn't online. It's tomorrow, in a room full of officials who have never heard a basement sing. You don't dress for the hearing, not because you don't care, because you don't own a version of yourself that looks like official. You show up in the same work pants you wore last night, knees faintly stained, hands still carrying the ghost scent of bleach no matter how hard you scrubbed. Your hoodie is clean, but it's still just a hoodie. You tug at the sleeves like you can smooth your life into something acceptable. The dog walks beside you, bandana tied at his neck. Microphone icon bright against his scruffy fur. People in the hallway recognize him before they recognize you. Heads turn. Phones lift. Not to film you, to film him. He doesn't flinch. He moves with the slow certainty of a creature that has been walking toward this moment for years. The hearing room smells like coffee and paper and impatience. A long table up front. Officials in stiff chairs. A microphone that looks nothing like the one in the basement, yet somehow feels more dangerous. You take a seat near the back, dog at your feet. The inspector is there. Hard hat gone, hair pulled tight, expression neutral, in a way that means she's hiding thoughts. One of the property men notices you and frowns. His eyes flick to the dog's bandana and back again, like he's offended by how much attention a stray is stealing from him. They begin with procedural language, structural integrity, liability, compliance, redevelopment, words designed to be heavy so no one wants to carry them home. The property representative speaks like the basement is a problem. Unauthorized access, unregistered space, potential safety hazard, necessary sealing. Your spine stiffens. The dog's head lifts, then they open the floor for public comment. At first, it's what you expect. A preservation volunteer stands and talks about history, about architecture, about the market's cultural significance. A local musician speaks about losing venues, about the city's habit of paving over art. Then a woman steps forward. Older, gray hair pinned back, hands trembling as she holds her phone. "I heard that song," she says, voice catching on the words like they're sharp. "The one with the mother." Silence settles. Even the property man stops shuffling papers. "She used to sing at my brother's wedding," the woman continues. "My brother is gone now. My parents are gone, and I haven't heard that voice since." Her throat closes. She swallows hard. "Until this week." Her fingers tap her phone screen. Your mother's voice fills the room. Not loud, not dramatic, just present. Hauntingly clean, like she's standing behind the microphone again, waiting for the city to decide whether it deserves her. The officials shift in their seats. The inspector's gaze flicks toward you, quick as a match strike. Another person speaks, then another. One by one, strangers share stories you never knew existed, of the market's underground sessions, of a producer who recorded anyone who showed up, of nights when music made the city feel less cruel. Then someone says, the thing that breaks the room open. "I was on one of those tapes." A man in a worn jacket stands. He looks down at his hands before he looks up. "I'm not famous," he says. "I never was. But I was heard down there. For the first time in my life, I was heard." He points gently toward you. "And he's the reason we're hearing it again." Heat crawls up your neck. Your mouth goes dry. The chairperson clears their throat. "We have the individual who discovered the space present?" Every eye turns. You feel pinned in place by attention. The dog rises. He steps forward first. Walks down the aisle like he owns it. The room follows him with their gaze, instinctively, as if he's the one they came to listen to. He reaches the front, stops near the official microphone and sits, perfectly, quietly, like he's done it before. A ripple moves through the room, soft laughter, then silence, then something tender you can't name, and that's when you stand. Your legs feel too thin for your body. Your hands hang at your sides, unsure what to do with themselves. You walk forward, following the dog. The microphone waits. You don't introduce yourself with a speech. You don't explain your resume. You pull out your phone. Your thumb opens the file labeled Final Take. Your mother's spoken message begins. If you're hearing this, you finally made it down here. The room stills. You let it play long enough for her to say the part that matters. I know you clean floors for money, and you make music in your head because it's the only place people can't take it from you. A few people inhale sharply, like the words hit bone. You stop the recording before it becomes too much. You lift your eyes, and you speak into the official microphone with a voice that doesn't try to sound brave, just true. I'm not asking you to save a basement, you say. Your hands tighten into fists, then loosen. I'm asking you to stop destroying the parts of this city that prove people mattered here. Your gaze flicks to the propertyman. You want to seal it because it's inconvenient, you continue, voice steadying as you go. But it's not trash. It's a record of people you never make room for. Street musicians, strangers, someone's mom. You glance down. The dog is staring up at you, calm as stone. And he guarded it, you add quietly. Not because he understood redevelopment, because he understood loyalty. The chairperson leans forward. Do you have a proposal? You do. You pull a folded paper from your pocket, creases soft from being opened and closed a dozen times. A preservation group offered to partner, you say. We can secure the space properly, make it safe, limited access, supervised tours, a small exhibit, and the recordings, digitized, archived, released with consent when possible. You swallow, and the album proceeds can fund the preservation and a program for street musicians, a scholarship, something that keeps this from happening again. Silence, a long, evaluating silence. Then the inspector stands. She doesn't look at the property man when she speaks. I've inspected the lower structure, she says. It's not a death trap. It's a sealed environment that's been stable for decades. With reinforcement, it can be safe. The property representative opens his mouth. She cuts him off with a calm hand. And I'd like the record to show, she adds, that cultural value is a form of public safety too. Communities fall apart when their stories are erased. The room shifts, not all at once, but like a tide turning. The chairperson clears their throat again, softer this time. We will postpone the ceiling, they announce, pending a revised plan and structural reinforcement proposal. For a second, you don't understand the words. Postpone, not sealed, not lost. The meaning reaches you slowly, like sound traveling through a long tunnel. A tremor moves through your hands. You look down at the dog. He stands, walks to you, presses his shoulder against your shin, and you realize he's shaking too, not with fear, but with release, like he's been holding a tension in his bones for years. And finally, the world has agreed to let go. Outside, the hallway is chaos. People want interviews, photos, details. The journalists say your name wrong at first, then correct it. A radio host asks if you'll perform live. Someone offers you a producer's contact. Someone else asks if the dog has a name. You look at him, really look, his scar, his uneven ears, his steady eyes that never ask for anything except for you to follow. You crouch beside him. I never named you, you whisper. He sniffs your sleeve, then looks away like names aren't important to him. But the bandana is. The city has already decided what he is, the basement guardian. And for once, you let a title land without fighting it. Weeks later, the market is still open. Not forever, nothing is, but long enough. The basement studio is reinforced. Cleaned without being sterilized, preserved without being turned into a museum coffin. You install a small plaque by the stairwell. Not flashy, not corporate, just words. This room held voices the sighty, almost lost. Listen gently. The album launches on a Friday night. You don't do it alone. The old guitarist friend stands beside you. The retired man who gave you the cassette sits in the front row, eyes wet but smiling. A few street musicians you've tracked down, some angry, some grateful, all real, lend their approval, their stories, their presence. And the dog? He lies at the foot of the stage, bandana bright, head on his paws, as if he's listening to make sure you don't shrink. When you step up to the microphone, this one modern, clean, unforgiving, you don't feel like an underpaid janitor pretending to belong. You feel like someone who carried sound out of the dark. You speak softly. Thank you for listening, you say. Then you sing, not because you're trying to prove anything, because somewhere beneath your ribs, 9-year-old you is still in that booth, laughing when he messes up, trying again because the room doesn't judge. The first note leaves your mouth, and the dog's tail thumps once against the floor, like a metronome, like a blessing. And for the first time in your life, the city doesn't just hear you, it holds the sound.